Hi, everybody, and welcome to Talkin' Art. With us today is my co-host, Mark Myhaver. Hi, Mark.
Hey, how you doing? How are you all doing out there?
And also is a new photographer to the scene, Tammy Cook. Hi, Tammy.
Hey, how are you doing?
I'm doing wonderful. How are you today?
Awesome.
Okay, so let's talk the fun stuff first. Did everybody have fun at Thanksgiving?
Yeah.
I had a blast. I didn't cook or clean or nothing.
I'm jealous.
I know. I went out to dinner the first time ever and had a gourmet meal, and I ordered everything top of the line. I still saved money.
Hi, everybody, and welcome to Talkin' Art. With us today is my co-host, Mark Myhaver. Hi, Mark.
Hey, how you doing? How are you all doing out there?
Oh, wait a minute. I've got feedback here. And also is a new photographer to the scene, Tammy Cook. Hi, Tammy.
Hey, how are you doing?
Got an instant replay going here.
Yep. I didn't realize that I had it on another window. I'm sorry, it's live.
Hey, it wouldn't be the show without something going on.
I could just hide myself,
Oh, no.
Yeah. It's real, it's live.
That's it, exactly. We're being very authentic here today. So I wanted to start by saying you can find us all, Tammy Cook, on Google Plus at TammyCook. Mark Myhaver, the best way to reach him is through Twitter at Myhaver, Myhaver, photos, Photos.
No S on the end.
Pardon?
No S on the end.
Oh, sorry, photo. And you can find me either at Today's Visions, TODAYSVISIONS, or at Arizona Lowe on Google Plus or on Twitter. Although I respond a lot faster on Twitter, I promise. And the shout out today is for one of the guys that I think is instrumental to me even being able to do an HOA and overcome my camera shyness. The Voice Zone. You can find him on Twitter, The Voice Zone. He has some amazing videos. His name is Patrick Munoz, and his videos will really help you with your speech. I actually did a session with him, and he sent me some warm-up exercises that I do before I start any HOA. So, Patrick, thank you very, very much. And look him up at The Voice Zone. That's our shout out for today. That's how So, Tammy, being a newbie, you don't even have your own website yet, right?
No, I do not. Well, actually, I did buy, a domain for it, but I haven't done nothing with it yet.
Haven't done, okay.
You got to start somewhere.
Yeah.
It's a process, it's mind-boggling. Everything you got to learn, you got to know, just to set everything up.
Not even considering the technical skills that you need to learn to be a photographer. Then you also got to worry about all the marketing and the promotional stuff.
Right.
It's really pretty amazing how mind-boggling it is. But I am going to defeat it if it kills me. I'm taking it down one step at a time.
Well, that's all you can do. So do you have questions for us?
Well, let's start by, probably a good thing to start would be, kind of giving a general overview. If you're somebody new like me who's just coming out, wants to get their work out, possibly try to sell it, where would be the best place to go, and how should they go about that?
Okay.
Mark?
A lot of that is going to come down to me, what type of photography or art that you're really doing, as far as what direction you go in marketing it and getting it out there in front of people. Let me ask you a question. You said you did secure a domain. Can I ask you what that domain is? What the name is?
TLC Photography.
TLCphotography.com. Did you do and tell me why? Tell me why it's TLC.
Well, because originally that's what I was going to form my company as. That's my initials, and then
Okay.
everybody knows me as TLC Photography. So I just went ahead and bought it, and then that way, if I decide to go that way, I have it. That makes any sense. I'm kind of contemplating between going my name or going TLC Photography. My problem is I build up a reputation under Tammy Cook. So that's Arizona, and I were talking about that yesterday.
Yeah, that's not a bad thing, and you know there are different ways of looking at it, and again I could go back to my years, but in the portrait photography business, and there were a lot of people who felt strongly that not using your name as part of your business enabled you in the future, if you wanted, for one thing, to have it a much more sellable business if you wanted to actually sell that business itself later. Whereas if you've actually got your name attached to it, you know, that can have a drawback. Although I've also known people that have bought ongoing businesses under a family name and continued using that because the reputation was great of that studio under that name. You have a benefit here, the way I see it, with TLC as being your initials, but what do a lot of people think of TLC as? The first thing that came to my mind
was tender love and care.
Right,
and I'm a nurse, so.
Well, that's exactly. Good news. I'm actually really surprised that you were able to find find available TLC. Is it TLC.com?
It was TLC Photography .com, yeah.
Okay, so TLC Photography. Okay, I'm actually amazed that you were able to secure.
Well, that's why I went and bought it, because I thought, okay, let me just grab it right now. In fact, Catherine, you know, directed me that way and said, let's just grab it and get it while we can.
Okay.
You know.
An excellent move, and that's a lesson I learned again back in the 90s. I first secured the domain myhaver.com, which is my family name, and the big reason I did it, I was consulting for a studio. I had closed my studio and moved full hog into digital photography, and was working with a studio, a very large studio, who had his family name as the business, and I realized that they were leasing the domain at you know, about $35 a month or something. And you know, the light went off in my head right then, and I said, well, you know what, I'm going to secure myhaver.com for no other reason than I don't want to me that domain, and still is, and I haven't really done much in developing it, but there's a site there. It's basically for the Myhaver family. The trick with domains, one of the tricks is in researching, you know, how many other similar domains are there out there that can confuse people. And
Well,
I think
it's like what we're talking about with Today's Visions, because Today's Visions has a yes on the end, and then there's an I company that actually has Today's Vision.
right.
And I couldn't grab it.
Right. So to go further, and you know, the cost of a domain really is not all that much in the large scheme of business things. So one of the things that I have done, and it's all about branding, and that's one of the first things I think you got to start thinking about when you're, especially creating a business that you're developing and spreading and marketing through online, which is the way today.
Exactly.
Is that branding. And one of the things that again, that's just what we said before in mind, that I've gone out and done, I have secure, you know, I have myhaverphotography.com, myhaverphotography, I think, .info. You name it, just about. And, you know, I've had those domains, and they all pretty much go to myhaverphotography.com, with the exception of my print-on-demand website, which is directly linked back and forth to myhaver.com, and that is myhaver.photography, which only became available in the past year. But I knew they were opening those domains up, and I secured it in advance so that when it became available, I had it. And,
so you're saying for a new photographer that maybe the first thing they ought to do is get their website rather than signing up for stock photography sites or for Fine Art America doing print on demand?
Not necessarily. Not necessarily. You mentioned Fine Art America. One of the great things about it, and I was going to try not to get into too specific companies because there's a lot. There's a lot of print-on-demand businesses out there, and if print-on-demand is the way you want to go, to me it was definitely the way to go with my business. It isn't necessarily for everybody. Having mentioned Fine Art America, one of the great things with Fine Art America, print-on-demand business is what they are, is they have enabled you to establish your own website, your own artist website, through them at a very, to me, insignificant cost.
Oh, yeah.
And along with that, use your own domain. So, for instance, Tammy could use tlcphotography.com as her artist website.
Right.
Which is a pretty fantastic thing. So,
well, in fact, that's what I've done with ArizonaLowe.com. It actually is my Fine Art America site.
Yeah. I already had the Myhaver Photography website. I had it for a long time, and it was mostly, again, it was through a period where I had gotten out of the business of photography, but I was still very much, always been, it's been my passion, so I was always playing with it, and always, it was an outlet for me to get my work out there anyway. And so it was very easy to, when it came time, when after my drastic changes that I went through in 2012, and awoke to the idea that, hey, it's time to, I know what I should be doing, and that is photography, and it's time to really start getting that word out there again. So it was very easy to convert that site to a site to market my photography through.
I want to remind everybody we do have question and answers on. I am trying to run the comment tracker, so I think it's working. So if you have a question out there, just let us know.
Is it working?
Yeah,
I don't know because I can't see the bottom part.
It says it's up and running, so.
I think a lot of people are going to be watching it later because they're working. But so, as a new person, as a photographer, and they're wanting to expand and get their work out there. So basically, obviously you want to do a website, but, you can't really do the website until you figure out what direction you're doing and what you're selling and what you're going to put on it, right? Like, are you going to do? Are you selling, portraits, or what are you going to do with? How do you go about doing that?
Yeah, you've got to decide. You've got to decide what area you're going into, and it doesn't have to be that you stick to one particular type of photography, really. Anyway, my feeling, especially for someone young and new starting out, is you may want to focus on a particular area, because you've got a lot to learn, first of all, in just photography itself.
Right.
So, you concentrate your efforts before it. Once you start putting your website out there, of course, the other part of it is you want to make it search engine friendly, so that you're actually, when you do a Google search on your business or your name, whichever you go by, what's it going to lead people to? And it looks like somebody signed in there. I see a name up. I don't know if there's a question there, but anyway, welcome to
Catherine Wilfong just.
It looks like.
Hey, you all look awesome. Great information. Thank you, Catherine Wilfong.
So, okay, now pull me back. Where were we there? Yes, I think you're absolutely right. You need to kind of have a pretty good idea of what it is you're wanting to market before you really get that website live. That doesn't mean you can't change things as you go, but once you start, it lends to credibility for one thing. Once you start putting yourself out there and really promoting it in one type of area, if all of a sudden you switch it, that raises a lot of questions, and people are not sure what they're heading into looking at your website.
Well, I think keeping a good blog could help. So, Tammy, I read on Twitter that you wanted to get into sports photography. So let's say that you start your website in sports, and you're keeping a blog, and you're going, all of a sudden you go, oh, it's winter, I'm not much into football, so during the winter I'm going to do landscape photography. You're letting your viewers know through the blog what's happening, why you're switching, yada yada yada. And include them in your learning process. Hey, you'll see one of my blogs is about learning how to use a zoom and take a macro shot.
Mm-hmm.
So
are you blogging, like you got your blog, are you doing it out on Twitter? Where are you putting that out at?
Well, for me, I put it out Twitter, my Arizona Lowe Facebook page, and Google Plus primarily when it comes to my photography stuff. Mark, how about you?
Yeah, I think maybe the real question there is, let's put it this way: you've got your website, you're starting to establish your website, and to me, that is really going to be where you are marketing your work. A lot of people, I think it's a mistake. I could be wrong, but I think a lot of people have the idea that they are going to sell their photography, let's say in this case, through social media. That seems to be. I mean, I see people that it looks like that's what they're expecting to do is sell through social media. I think that's a myth, to be honest. I think the selling is going to take place on your website and your marketplace that you establish. Social media is going to be where you get your exposure, where you start building relationships and building an audience and get your brand out there. That brand is then where they're going to take you to your website, which is ultimately what you want. And you want to lead people there to where your actual shop is, your market. And so,
well, Twitter and Facebook both are, I think, in the process, and I might be totally wrong. Somebody can call me out on this, but I think I've read where both of them are trying to get to where they accept payments, within Twitter, so you can actually sell within Twitter. But I can't imagine buying a product after reading 140 characters. So I think I have to agree with Mark. Even if they get this going, you build your relationships, you're building your brand, and then kicking back to your website where you actually do your selling.
I would agree. Yeah, definitely. I don't see that happening.
My experience and what I've seen, and again, let's go to 140 words on Twitter. What I see people that to me look like they're blatantly, you can relate the same thing to Google Plus, I think. But when you actually see someone, I'm going to call it hard selling a product. It's this is what we have, X amount of dollars. If they're generating sales from that, my guess is it's a pretty low price. And I've seen it. I see some tweets regularly that are some pretty low prices to me for art and photography. My question is that a sustainable price? In other words, is that a price that you're able to make a living on? If it's a real low price, you must be banking on a lot of volume.
Well, now out on to bring up Fine Art in America again, just because that's where I've noticed the pricing. My prices are relatively low because I consider myself an amateur photographer. but I've noticed others, and yours included, Mark, are a little bit higher, but y'all are professionals. Is that a correct way to do this?
Well, I think you have to establish your value. Okay, I think that should be up to the individual to really establish your value and therefore your prices. One of the great things about Fine Art America is that they allow you to do that. They allow you to set your own prices. The reason my print-on-demand business, the reasons, is through Fine Art America are several. I've always been selling some photography, even when I really wasn't fully in the business of it. In the years when I was, doing other things like in the graphic arts industry and so forth. Back when I had my studio, I had a printer that I could print up to a certain size on my own. Once the quality of printing was there at a marketable level, Epson printers and so forth. Anything larger than that, I dealt with labs back in the day, and of course now the quality of that's what I'm looking for glycerin, that type of printing is tremendous, and the longevity is tremendous.
You're talking about Chiclet printing?
Yeah, I've heard it called different, but
yeah, Chiclet printing, I think, opened up print on demand.
It did. So what I was doing once I no longer had the space in the studio and the equipment, I went through a company that I was buying all my framing, and I did my own framing, and I bought a lot of custom frames and pre-made, but they were custom. I had a full catalog so people could sit in my studio and actually pick out, and I could help them and guide them to frame their wall portraits. The company that I used predominantly in later years started doing print on demand as well. So you could actually have a print shop within their frame shop and go and have the whole thing done and shipped to you all framed and done. Great, wonderful. So when it came to the point where I started looking at, okay, I'm not going to go back into doing that here. I don't have the space. I don't have the volume, for one thing. If you had your own large format, even printers, if you're not doing a lot of volume, it's costing you a lot of money. That's going down the drain because your inks, if they're not being used, are drying out, things like that. We won't get into all that. But if you compare, and this is one of the issues that comes down to whether it makes sense to use print on demand service or not for your business. To me, it made all the sense in the world to do it. When I started looking at, I may be increasing that volume, then. And the whole marketing side of it was I gonna then spend the money and put up an actual print shop, a shopping cart on my website and so forth. I started looking into things. Fine Art America, it turned out, I discovered, was using the exact same framing company that I was already using.
Oh, fun.
Yeah, so I knew the product. I knew the quality. I knew what I was getting there. So right there was a big yes for me. Then I looked at, again, the cost of setting up a shopping cart and maintaining that on my own website. And I looked at a Fine Art America print-on-demand point-of-sale location online, and everything was already there. It's already laid out. Once you become a member there, and even to the point where you can actually establish your own website within there, it was a no-brainer to me. It made a lot more sense when I looked at the cost of what I Okay, you're reeling me in. Okay.
I've seen that.
Oh, really?
Arizona, no, she's got to reel
We
me
need
in.
a part 2 on this because there's a lot of stuff we need to talk about.
Well, there is. I think what we have come up to, and that's kind of, I wanted to see if we were all in consensus on this. It seems like starting up for selling online, you need to get your domain name first, and I would say coordinate your online presence, your social media presence around that name. So if you choose TLC Photography, then you want to start a Twitter account that's TLC. You want a Facebook page, you want a Google Plus page, wherever you want to be active, social media wise.
Mm-hmm.
And then consider whether you want to go with the print on demand. And we've only talked about Fine Art America, but there's Zappo, Etsy doesn't do print on demand. There's I know there's more, art.com. Mark, are there any others?
A lot. I'm not going to start even trying to list names. There's a lot of print on demand services, and there's also a lot of other areas that people go into with in marketing their art, and I want to call them accessories.
Well, you got stock photography, which Tammy's already involved in.
What's that?
Stock photography, which Tammy's already involved in.
That's another whole area. So again, that comes down to what is it you're actually wanting to market as to where you go. But to go back to what you started saying here was exactly, you want to start establishing your brand. I feel very strongly about that. Establish your brand. What are you known? Whether it's your name you're using, and if it is, whatever it is, whatever that name is, that brand, you want to protect that. Now, protecting that is part of building the right profile on your social medias, engaging in the right people, so that you've got a good, healthy, enjoyable, and friendly presence out there that the people are going to be attracted to, and then you start building that brand name. That's so much of it comes to me down to branding. I chose to use my name because I had, it's kind of a unique name anyway. The interesting thing about the name Myhaver is we're all related. There are many out there around the country, and I'm getting to meet more and more of them through social media. But
well, I chose to use my name, Arizona Lowe, because it's unique, and I feel like it was something people would remember.
Yeah.
So,
I don't. Tammy Cook's not like a remembering name. I need a cool name like you guys.
well, and the other thing I noticed, Tammy, I'm not picking on you, so if you think I'm picking on you, you can call me later and give me crap.
Oh, no.
On Twitter, it's TAMMI.
No.
And
it's Y.
It's I on Twitter.
The right Tammy Cook?
It looks like you.
Maybe somebody's using my name.
I found you under TAMMI, and I went,
really?
She spells it with a Y. So, yeah, you need to make sure you're very consistent.
Okay. I'm going to check that. Like I said, I just set it up. So let me go look. Does it have my camera face in front of me?
It does. It does.
Oh,
and it says you're going to get into sports.
I never said that. That's so weird.
Yeah.
I'll show you what I found.
Okay, I'll go look at it.
That's all about the branding.
But I agree with you. You need to be consistent. Everything needs to be pulled together and uniform. I agree with that totally.
Okay.
I do have 2 different Twitter accounts. I have recently set up a personal one, which is at Mark Myhaver, and they're pretty. They're looking a lot identical. Again, it's my business is photography by Mark Myhaver. So the biggest reason I set up that other account, to be honest, was to secure that on Twitter.
Right.
Again, it goes back to the domain thing too. It's kind of the same idea with an @ name on Twitter, and that's really the the only reason I set up that personal one. Once I did, of course, then I had to, you know,
Got to manage it.
start building it properly, you know. So.
Tammy, you got any last words you want to give us? And I agree, we need part 2 and maybe a part 3.
Yeah, there's too much to cover, man. But you know, I appreciate. I look up to all of you, and you know, as young artists and people coming up, we look to you all for advice and how to get us started. And of course, we all have visions of doing something, whether that happens or not, but you can still give it a try. So I appreciate you all taking the time and giving us a little bit of your expert opinion.
Well, Tammy, think of saying whether it happens or not. You're going into this full force. You are a brilliant and prolific photographer, and you should be telling yourself that 10 times a day.
Or looking in the mirror, right?
Exactly.
Well, that is true. No, I'm just kidding. One day it's going to be true. One day. I always said I wasn't stopping until I hit National Geographic. So
there you go. You set your goal and you see yourself succeeding, and that's the way you should go forward.
Thank you.
Keep having fun with it, and just keep playing with it, you know, and learn as you go.
I love learning. I love it. I learn every day. I learned a lot the other day for sure.
One of the things I love about photography is always something to learn.
Yes, thank you.
We have to say bye now, guys.
Okay.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye.
You're all